In the sweltering haze of a Georgia summer in 1793, as enslaved hands on Catherine Green's mulberry grove plantation claw at bowls of short staple cotton under a merciless sun, their fingers bleeding from thorns and seeds that cling like curses, a 27-year-old Yale graduate named Eli Whitney, tall, awkward, with eyes burning from mechanical fever, huddles in a dimly lit shed, wire teeth scraping against wood in a prototype that hums like a devil's whisper. What if this simple engine, born from a widow's plea and stolen ideas from the very souls it would doom, didn't just clean cotton? It unleashed a monster, turning a crop from niche to nightmare, swelling Southern fortunes to billions while chaining 4 million lives in iron bonds by 1860, a legacy so poisoned that today's heirs at Louisiana's Whitney Plantation, the only U.S. site solely dedicated to slavery's horrors, must reckon with statues of the enslaved weeping tears of clay? Lean in, because Whitney's gin wasn't innovation's triumph. It was the spark that ignited America's original sin. A machine that minted cotton kings from planter dynasties while etching ethical scars so deep they still bleeding in boardrooms and museums, forcing us to ask, can wealth born in blood ever wash clean? The prototype whirs to life that October night, Whitney's heart racing as the wooden drum spins wire spikes, snatching seeds from fiber in minutes. What took a day by hand, his notebook scribbled with sketches borrowed from enslaved whispers and Catherine's late husband's half-forgotten designs, but the air thickens with unintended prophecy. Green, eyes wide with hope, declares, "This will save us," unaware it's dooming millions. By March 1794, the patent seals it. U.S. Patent No. 72. Machine for picking cotton and cleaning cotton, Whitney's name etched in ink that would outlast empires. But the rush to copy is immediate. Southern planters pirating blueprints overnight. His New Haven factory churning knockoffs he can't sue into submission. Profits evaporating as lawsuits drag him to poverty's edge. $100,000 in legal fees swallowed by a system rigged for the rich. Yet the gin's roar echoes southward, where upland cotton, stubby, seed-choked, blooms from curse to crown jewel. Production exploding from 3,000 bales in 1790 to 4.5 million by 1860. Each fluffy pound a $1.50 fortune in Liverpool markets. Fueling northern mills and global trade, but the dark tide surges. Slavery, fading in 1790 with just 700,000 bound souls across 19 states, reverses like a floodgate cracked. Demand for hands to plant and pick ballooning plantations from modest farms to sprawling hells, the internal slave trade ripping 1 million from upper South families to deep South fields. Chains rattling on coffles, marching like death processions, mothers' screams lost in the Delta's drone. High drama unfolds in the Carolinas first. Planters like Wade Hampton I, grandfather of the Confederate general, seizing the gin's promise. His 1790s fields in Mississippi swelling to 3,000 acres by 1810, 300. Enslaved souls bent double under sun that blisters skin to leather. The gin house a temple where one man now cleans a day's harvest, what 10 couldn't before. Profits tripling to $20,000 yearly. Hampton's dynasty forged in fire, his heirs commanding 20,000 acres by 1850. A cotton kingdom that crowns generals and senators, but the cost carves deeper. Overseers' whips cracking at dawn. Children too small for hoes yoked to plows, runaways hunted with dogs whose baying haunts slave quarters like banshees. Further west, in Louisiana's fecund bayous, the Whitney name crystallizes the curse, not Eli's direct kin, but the family that lends its legacy to Habitation Hadle, rebranded Whitney Plantation in 1879 by New York banker Bradish Johnson after his daughter's marriage to a Whitney scion. The site's 1752 founding under Ambroise Hadle, a sugar behemoth that pivots to cotton post-gin. Hadle heirs like Marie Azelli expanding to 400,000 pounds annually by 1860, her ledger blooming with $100,000 wealth from 100 enslaved lives. Cabins clustered like wounds along the German coast, where the 1811 revolt, largest slave uprising in U.S. history, erupts just miles away, 500 freedom fighters marching with machetes and drums, crushed in blood that soaks the soil Whitney's machine would till richer. Suspense coils as the gin reshapes the South's soul, planters like the Whitneys, descendants weaving into Louisiana's elite through marriage and land grabs, building empires on the Delta's back, the 1830s cotton boom turning riverboats into treasure fleets. Natchez Millionaires' Row, mansions rising like monuments to misery, each bale a brick in fortunes that hit $200 million industry-wide by 1840. but the human ledger bleeds. Field hands' spines snapping under 18-hour days, auctions tearing siblings apart for $1,000 a head. Women bearing children into bondage as property increase. Eli himself, oblivious in New Haven's arms factory by 1798, churning muskets for Jefferson's embargo, interchangeable parts his true genius, dies in 1825 with $100,000 scraped from contracts. His son Eli Jr. inheriting the manufacturing mantle not Fields, yet the gin's ghost haunts. By Civil War's eve, cotton is 60% of U.S. exports. 4 million enslaved the Whitney Plantations, 350 souls under Hadel whips, producing sugar laced with cotton side crops. Bradish Johnson's 1870s purchase a Yankee grasp on Confederate ruins, his heirs holding till 1999 when oilman John Cummings buys for $1 million, the land whispering of unrest. Cummings, a 78-year-old retiree with a collector's eye for lost causes, wanders the overgrown acres in 2000. Slave cabins crumbling like forgotten vows, auction blocks moss-covered, his gut twisting at the silence. Where are the voices? The reckoning ignites. Over 14 years, $12 million poured into resurrection. Historians like Ibrahima Seck unearthing 350 names from ledgers, statues commissioned from Woodrow Nash, life-size figures of children like Anna, eyes hollow with 12-year-old weariness, tears etched in bronze that glisten under rain. Opened December 7, 2014, as America's first slavery-only museum. No great house tours, just the Wall of Honor naming the bound the Field of Angels for 2,200 child graves visitors. 80% white at first, now diverse, confronting mirrors and all that jazz exhibit. Jazz born from anguish. Cummings declaring, "This is sacred ground." Donating to nonprofit in 2019 after 700,000 souls passed through. Ethical thunder rolling as descendants like the Hadels grapple with ghosts. One great-grandniece, Marie Azeli Hadel's kin, admitting, "We profited from pain." Reparations whispers echoing in boardrooms where Whitney heirs, scattered in Connecticut's Whitney Armory legacy, fund museums but sidestep the fields their forebears' spark scorched. The high tide of tension crashes in the 1850s Deep South, where gin-fueled kings like the Whitneys, intertwined with planters through New York investments, command fleets of steamboats hauling 500-pound bales to New Orleans auctions. The Crescent City's slave pens swelling to 50,000 sold yearly. Families sundered for $1,500 prime field hands. The gin's efficiency a siren's call that swells plantations to 1,000 acres. Overseers' journals cold with quotas. 100 pounds or the lash. Women like Harriet Jacobs hiding in attics for 7 years, birthing defiance in letters smuggled north. Eli's unwitting role a specter, his 1800s letters lamenting pirates, stealing his gin, blind to the true theft of lives it enabled. Southern wealth hitting $3 billion in cotton by 1860, fueling railroads and banks, but the moral rot festers. Abolitionists like Garrison thundering cotton is king? Nay, slavery is tyrant. Uprisings like Angola's 1835 blaze torching gins in feudal fury. The Compromise of 1850 a bandage on gangrene. Whitney Plantations fields. Once Hadel's gold mine, now sown with truth. Cummings' vision a reckoning that forces visitors to whisper names like Antoine, 10-year-old boiler tenders scalded to death. His story a shard in the mosaic of 12 million African-descended lives uprooted for lint. As war's shadow lengthens in 1861, the gin's legacy fractures the nation. Confederate cotton diplomacy starving Europe for blockade aid, Union gunboats choking the Mississippi. Whitney heirs in the North forging rifles that pierce rebel lines. The Emancipation Proclamation a gin in reverse, freeing 3.5 million. But Reconstruction's dawn dims with sharecropping chains, black codes binding freedmen to the plow. The Whitney Plantation sold to convicts leased for labor till 1910. Peonages echo, Cummings 2014 unveiling a thunderclap. Slavery didn't end in 1865, he tells crowds. Statues of the enslaved, Anna's defiant stare, Matilda's weary cradle, demanding gaze. Ethical waves crashing as 2020's racial reckonings swell visits 30%. Descendants tracing roots via DNA to Hadel's hell. One visitor, a great-great-grandchild, collapsing at the slave hospital ruins, sobbing. This is us. The museum's $15 million nonprofit pivot a vow to endure. John Cummings 2021 passing at 91 a quiet close. His will seeding education funds, the site's 2,200 child angels a chorus calling for reparations. Southern Wealth's $14 trillion unpaid debt per economists. Whitney's Gin, the original IOU. The Whitney saga, from 1793 shed to 2025 reckoning, unravels America's tangled thread. Invention's spark igniting slavery's inferno, cotton kings crowned in cruelty, plantations like Whitney's a mirror cracking under truth's hammer, ethical ghosts demanding not forgiveness, but facing. If this chronicle of chains and change grips your conscience, subscribe to delve deeper into Dynasty's depths with me. We're unearthing history's hidden harvests together. Next, the ink-stained empire that birthed fake news. William Randolph Hearst's yellow journalism chaos. From scandal sheets to Hollywood thrones, parallels to today's media titans that twist truth for treasure. What shadow would your legacy cast? Confess in the comments and we'll weave it into the tale.